What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are back with the Power Rankings, guys, again here for episode 3, and this season just keeps on cranking along. We got a double tribal this week,
Yes.
and yeah, so much to talk about. So, as always, I'm Paul. I'm here with Joe,
Hi, everybody.
and we are ready to just dive right in. Survivor Michigan is kind of known for just these like stretches of really good episodes. And I feel like this is another like solid entry into that. It's not like a complete banger of an episode where like we don't get we do kind of get a tell Megan hi for me moment at the end, but we'll get to that. So we a little bit of one of those moments. But again, another great episode. We do get our answer to what is Rhythm Tap Ensemble.
Yes, we do. That was very nice to see.
Thrilled to find out that we weren't going to have to fly that one up the flagpole, that they were already providing the answer. And overall, just a lot of great moments. We're digging more into everybody here. So we feel like we get a little bit more time with everybody and kind of what everybody's thinking, except for T-Rex. We don't get a lot of T-Rex time.
Yeah,
but we do get time with T-Rex's accent, which I did text you earlier. But I was like, I honestly think I'm just now finding out that T-Rex, because we talked a little bit about like French Survivor in the first episode, but I still even think that I noticed he had an accent until this episode.
That's really funny. Yeah, I noticed that too. And then he went extinct for the rest of the episode, just like the actual dinosaurs.
That's a great pun.
I've been waiting all night to say that.
I appreciate you come with one locked and loaded. That we always gets us off to the right start. Speaking of getting off to the right start, I feel like Stephanie gets off to this right start in this episode where she does the thing where after you get totally blindsided and you're just mad, you do the thing where you're like, great job, guys. Like, really great blindside. Like, man, like, I know it's not what I wanted, but I know a good one when I see one. Like, you have to do that thing.
Yeah.
And you and I have played enough online games, live games, to know what it's like to be on the wrong side of a blindside, and it sucks, and it's awful, and you have to go and do that. Wow, you guys are really pulling over on us. Very impressive. Like,
I know, it's so awkward, too. And it's different from, like, the CBS version, because, like, they at least have to, like, travel back to camp, and I'm sure they have a lot of time where it's silence, and then you get that, like, awkward moment back at camp, where this, it's like, the vote literally happens, and then you take, like, 10 steps forward, and then you're all just standing in a circle, like, waiting for the next challenge, and it's like, all right, I have to react to everything that just happened, like, right now.
Yeah, and Matthew Israel is pointing a camera in your face.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's terrible. But she does as good of a job as she's gonna do here.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I appreciate the attempt. Luke is like... he's not giving it the same finesse that Stephanie is. He's kind of trying to do this thing, but it's really just coming across. Do you remember like in Friends when Ross is dating Aisha Tyler and Joey and Rachel are together and he's like, I'm fine. Like, who wants fajitas? Like, that's the kind of energy Luke is giving, is like that very manic David Schwimmer energy.
Oh my
and then
God.
Emily has some really great quotes here. This is probably our first real shining star Emily moment, because she's also on the wrong side of this vote.
Right.
And she goes, my grandma watches this show. Like, she didn't think it was going to be this intense. And then she just looks at the camera and she goes, this is not the way to make friends.
That was perfect.
I'm kind of like, I do understand that sentiment, Emily, because there are those moments. Because there's also this great moment where Noah and Ian again, we get an outrage off 2.0, which is, there's no way anyone could have listened to our podcast before putting together this episode, but it's almost like they did, and they gave us just another sample of these two guys being like, can you believe? This is unbelievable. It's almost like Seinfeld-esque. Like, it's almost like Jerry and George.
Yeah.
I think I want to start calling these two Jerry and George.
I love that.
Because I think they're just giving, like, what is going on here? What are these? Can you believe this? I love it so much, 100% of the time. But anyhow, there's also this moment where they're like, Ian is like, I would like to have a beer with Luke. But I don't want to play with him in this game. Yeah. And the moment... I love these two. Though these two need a podcast immediately. I don't care
really
what
do. Yeah.
But there's this moment where Ian goes like, I think I'd really like to have a beer with Luke. And Noah is kind of like, Like, he's just so non-committal about it. Like, he would not be thrilled to have a beer with Luke. And it's just so good.
Yeah.
the outrage off 2.0
Mm-hmm.
gets me. So, but these guys know they're in the driver's seat at this point, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I
I
think
mean, they.
especially Noah is
Yeah.
like, he is really godfathering this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really is. It's cool to see. They're just like, yeah, all these people are going to throw out our names. We'll just send them home. What do you mean? We're
Yeah.
not bothered.
And especially for these two guys who've watched so much Survivor Michigan, they've been around for so much of it, to be in it and then to be in it and doing well has got
Yeah.
to be this very, like, because, like, Ian's got Cooper and Leia, and then Noah has Bailey, obviously. These people
Mm-hmm.
who played Survivor Michigan, played very hard, but also all three really had these very chaotic journeys, especially in their first seasons and then also in All Stars. And so now Ian and Noah are like, what, like, it's hard, like, he just masterminded all these votes, like, who cares if you
Right.
don't win challenges? So, like, they're probably pretty insufferable at, like, the cast parties and stuff and all of this going forward. So, and
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I love these
Yeah.
dudes. But we do go back to Obsidian, where we find out that Mason loves Justin. We can say it. Mason loves Justin. He's like, this is my dude. I love it. And sometimes, like, you get that alliance bro that you're with where you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, apparently the fire trucks are going down the road. So,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, let's hope that's not my apartment building. But, like, you totally get it. And it's also one of those things where, like, I'm kind of like, Mason, like, is like, Justin is my dude. And Justin's like, yeah, I've got a lot of irons in the fire. Like, yeah,
Right.
you get the feeling that Justin is not nearly as, and especially later in this episode, you get the feeling that Justin is not nearly as sold on Mason as Mason is sold on Justin. You're kind of like, well, that's not great.
Right.
And but but it's also kind of this, like, food chain thing where, like, Mason really wants to be besties with Justin, but Justin really wants to be best friends with George, but George is already best friends with Jack. So there's kind of like this high school hierarchy on Obsidian where it's like George and Jack and Katie, like, they're the cool kids. And then, like, Justin's like, no, like, I'm one of the cool kids too. I'm one of the cool kids too. And Mason's like, yeah, like, if Justin's one of the cool kids, I'm one of the cool kids with Justin too. And it's just this very, like, food chainy situation that is just cracking me up. T-Rex's accent, that's and also hot tub time.
Yeah, we got another.
The same hot tub from the All Stars premiere? It kind of looked
it
like
did kind of, yeah.
But also, where is this hot tub?
Yeah, we need answers. Where's our,
I
like,
need to know where this hot tub is.
Who has it? Whose house is it at?
Winter in Ann Arbor.
Right.
This giant hot tub. I would pay good money to have a giant hot tub accessible in a Michigan winter. So I need to know more about this.
Yes.
And it's also, like, I love the emergence of party animal George. I want to dig into this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is not his natural habitat.
No.
I feel like
I feel the same way.
I feel like if you're thinking, like, who are, like, the major party animals in Survivor Michigan history, I don't think George is there. And yet, on the other hand, through 3 episodes, who has partied more than Obsidian?
Yeah, I know. I mean, they haven't been needing to go to tribal yet. So, like, what else do they have to do except party?
Obsidian has barely been sober for the first 3 episodes of this game. And I feel like, looking at the map here, like, if you had, like, a party animal tribe, you'd think, oh, like, it's definitely, like, Dylan and Brady and Jackson and Dale, and Ben seems like he'd be fun at a party, and AJ seems like he's a great time at a party, and, like, these are, like, the party dudes of Survivor Michigan.
Yeah.
Mike from Pike is gonna get another shout out here because I love that guy. Like, definitely, like, the Alexes are probably great at the party. Like, definitely, these are the bros. And
Maggie, don't forget Maggie.
Oh, I was just doing the bros.
Oh, the bros. Okay, I was gonna say,
if we're doing all the party people of Survivor Michigan, it's Maggie.
Everyone else. Okay.
I would not have. Dylan's great, Brady's great, Jackson and Dale, whatever. These people are not touching Maggie.
Right. Okay. Good.
It's Maggie.
Sure.
Bailey. Honestly, again, I'm not gonna go on to this tangent, but if we're drafting people whose Survivor Michigan party I want to attend.
Oh, yeah. You named most of them right there.
Anyhow, but my point was to say that you don't really think of George in that group.
Mm-mm.
And yet he is kind of doing it. Like, he's kind of, like, really making this work. work, and this whole tribe is just kind of into it.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me, not to throw it to a Big Brother reference, but Derek from Big Brother, whatever season that was,
16,
like,
yeah.
yeah, where he had to kind of like, he was a little bit older, but he kind of had to
Mm-hmm.
like make himself younger and like fit in with the kind of the younger crowd. I feel like George is kind of doing a similar thing
This is
with
completely
his
the
tribe.
Derek game. And
Yeah.
that's also a really great metaphor for, I think, the George and Jack thing is giving
Mm.
very much the Derek and Cody thing.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay,
I think
cool.
Jack is
Hmm.
obviously better than Cody. I think we've already seen
Agreed.
that.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think they're definitely giving that kind of relationship.
Hmm.
Um, I also, speaking of that, my very next note was Jack and George are giving nerdy twin, model twin when they're in this double because they kind of look similar when they're in this two shot, but George kind of has like the glasses and the flannel, and Jack
Hmm.
is like kind of like made up and he's like dressed, and I'm kind of like these two are like this is like a mismatched twins comedy, kind of like a Parent Trap scenario where like one of them like had to take like piano lessons and go to computers camp, and the other one was like jetting off to Milan and like doing photo shoots. I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to let's not. I don't want to lose that as we go on in the season because I like these two as
Hmm.
Parent Trapped twins.
Yeah.
At one point, someone, and I don't remember who, says that George wrote and created Survivor,
I see.
and I'm really grateful that he did that. It's been a major hobby of mine for 2
I
or 3
know.
years now. So thank you,
Right.
George, for writing and creating
Yeah, I
Survivor.
wouldn't be who I was without George.
It's true. The we get this. We get this. So Noah and Taylor are on Quidditch together. It's Taylor, right? That's on the Quidditch with Noah.
Yes, I
I
believe
think
because
that's correct.
that's a cross tribe thing, right?
Yes, but we
Yes,
get
yeah.
this picture of them with their faces circled. And I'm like,
Oh,
this is giving like Law and Order.
yes.
Like
Like
this is
the
giving either
murder
suspects or
board,
murder
like
victims. I can't
yeah.
decide which ones, but it's one of the two, and it's very giving that. Like so
I like
so
that
fun.
everybody's like really doing their research. Like
Yeah.
this has been a season like heavy of that, I feel like people are stalking the social media, they're trying to put the pieces together.
I feel like it's once you pull at that first thread. So once you
Mhm.
find out a secret about somebody, and
Yeah.
obviously Ian is that first very, very loose thread,
Right.
I feel like you're just hungry for more.
Mhm. Yeah. And I feel
You
like
know,
I remember in past seasons like people trying to hide things and like scrub their social medias and stuff. So it's like I don't know if people have gotten more lax with that or people have gotten more into like doing the detective work and like really seeing, really trying to find like even the most random of connections, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon situations.
I feel like this is a really like very hardworking detective season,
Hmm.
which I think is funny because like it's kind of like you and I are both escape room people. And it's
Yes.
kind of like you just have to find that first thing,
Hmm.
and then it just sets off like a emotion, everything. And these people know each other, and these people knew each other ahead
Hmm.
of time, and these people whatever. And I feel like that's the era we're at with this season. Is it's just like the I I need to find out some information about somebody,
Right.
and here we go.
Yeah.
And then we go right from this to this George and Katie moment where they're in the kitchen, and George makes the pun about the spiders, and just gets no reaction.
That was so
And then
good.
he
Then he
just
just
does
like
I'm like,
leaves, just exits stage right
and I'm just like,
or stage
George,
left.
yes. It's just a yes. It's a yes from me.
Yeah.
Everything about George this season so far has been just a complete yes from me. And also, I want to know who was filming that because it does look
Right.
like somebody was standing up filming that, and I want to know if the person filming that laughed behind the camera or not, or if they like. I need to know that. But
Yeah.
I mean, overall, so good. So also, I have more questions. So
Okay.
we get another tease of this thing at the beginning of the episode with Ian and Noah, where Ian is like, "I have to tell you one more thing." Does that pay off, or did I like fall asleep during the episode?
What did he tell him? I don't
It's like
remember.
in the very beginning of the episode. We go back to this shot of Ian and Noah from the Outrage Off 1.0, and Ian is like, "I have to tell you one more thing," and Noah's like, "Oh no, one more thing," and then we go right into the opening credits.
Okay, I think I saw that too, and I think I was confused.
It still hasn't paid
But
off, right?
I don't
Are
think
we
so. I don't.
crazy? Are we missing something?
I
Maybe
don't.
there's something going on in the Discord that we don't know about. Because
Maybe.
neither one of us are on Discord, and I don't really think I know what it is super. But apparently,
Yeah.
there's a Survivor Michigan one where people talk and have opinions about lots of stuff,
Oh wow.
and maybe
Okay.
even have opinions about us, which makes me nervous.
Why don't we live in our what's that? The ignorance is bliss thing.
If my two options are ignorance or learn how to use Discord, it's going to be ignorance every time. I guarantee you, it's always going to be ignorant.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that because
Yes, I want to know more about that, and also
yeah.
I want to know. We kind of pull up to this challenge, and Obsidian is there, and Sokka is like not there, and we see Brady just we hear somebody singing All Star by Smash Mouth, and Brady just starts cursing them out. And I was like, can I get a little more context? Is it Sokka that's yelling, singing All Stars? Is it production? Who is Brady yelling at?
Yeah.
Where is All Star coming from? Like, what is going on?
I think at first I thought it was maybe just random people. Then I was like, maybe it's production. Like, obviously they're coming off of the All-Star season. But it could also just be Sokka too. Like,
I don't know. It left me with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We get into this challenge, and my first note is just ska. I love ska music. Reminds me of the late 90s. Makes me think of Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, ska. Thanks, George, for the ska. So this is a really interesting challenge.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is also a long challenge, but we compare it to last week's best of 12, and it doesn't feel as long. Not best of 12. First to 12, which is technically a best of 23.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't feel as long. And also there's some stuff that happens along the way. Let's start by saying it that way. There's some stuff.
There is some stuff.
The first stuff that happens is that Luke hands a ball to Ian instead of Emily, which I feel like is weird in the moment.
Yes.
But it sort of sets up this "did Luke get bamboozled" storyline that we already talked about a little bit.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking about too. Obviously, after, like, in the moment, I was like, kind of weird, but in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe he's trying to like build that bridge back with Ian. So okay, fine. Like, if it's between Ian and Emily, sure. But yeah, I think it does actually start that sort of journey for Luke to trying to like get back in with the group and play up the fact that he was sort of like blindsided by the whole situation. So
yeah, I don't know how much of it is like forethought. I don't know how much of it is Luke going, I'm going to give this ball to Ian. And then Ian is later going to, I don't know how much of that.
Right.
But it pays off.
Yeah, it does.
And I feel like it's testament to something I'm always saying about Survivor that people are disagreeing with me about frequently, is that sometimes you just try stuff. Just try stuff.
Yeah.
It may never pay dividends. It may never pay off. Too many people watch the CBS edited version of Survivor and think that that's Survivor. Everything that happens on screen has a meaning, has a purpose, whatever. And sometimes Survivor is just doing stuff.
Right.
That'll never make the edit. That'll never matter. That'll never have any consequences. And I feel like this is one of those things that does end up paying off for Luke. So good for Luke.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I really, really thought Jack was going to hit Stick George. When George is running back with that tennis ball, because I don't know if you ever like you are a football guy, but you're not a huge football guy.
Yeah.
So there are these times when somebody like will like catch a ball or whatever, and like, or will be like running, and you'll see somebody off in the distance, and you can tell when a tackle is going to happen before it happens, especially a really brutal tackle.
Yeah.
And there was just this moment where Jack is standing in this position, and like George is running out of an angle, and I'm like, is Jack gonna just truck him right now? Like, absolutely murder him? And I was kind of like, and then he doesn't. I'm like, okay, good, because I was like, I know Jack is like cosplaying as a frat star, like party guy Jack, but I'm like, he's still my fragile baby boy. And I was like, he's not getting up from that.
No,
like, no, it's. Yeah, I was like, you're about to see the difference between undergrad and post-grad in Jack tackle, because there's a lot of things that I could do. I played intramural sports when I was in undergrad and whatever, hit, fall over, whatever, and just get back up and you're fine. But if I tried to do now, or even like in my mid-20s, like where George is, I would not be able to move for days. So thankful that Jack did not destroy George. Brady loves balls.
Okay.
So then next we get Stephanie and Thages. I gotta take a moment.
Same. I don't even know what to say. My jaw was on the floor.
I feel like it's one of those things. Sometimes you see things that are like exciting in the moment and then weird on the watch back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was weird in the moment.
Yes.
I feel like this, even for those people standing there, was weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like Thages is doing the thing where he's like, yeah, guys, I did it for the tribe. Yeah, whatever. And I feel like the whole tribe is kind of like, yay, like, thanks so much, Thages. Like, I appreciate that. Like, well done. Like, it's just this very... There's a quote later from Anne that I'm obsessed with, where Anne just goes, the other tribe kind of sucks. And I feel like I don't agree that Sokka kind of sucks. But I do agree that this is definitely the island of misfit toys. Like, maybe as much as we've ever seen in Survivor Michigan, the island of misfit toys.
Yeah.
Because you have that tribe in All Stars that's like the Sam, Megan, AJ, Dylan, Aaron tribe that loses a lot of challenge or whatever. They look like Karor from Palau compared to this. Like, they make Sam and Dylan and Megan and AJ look like Tom and Ian and Katie and Karen compared to this Sokka tribe. This group is a mess. At one point, like, Luke is sort of calling out Noah. He's kind of like, yeah, Noah, something like that. And I'm like,
yeah, it was...
I think when he wins, he says something, and it's kind of like, this is just weird energy.
Yeah, weird energy. That's the good way to put it.
Stephanie is not having fun.
I know.
Like, this, I do have a note later that this is, I feel bad for Steph, and I really feel bad. Like, this is one of the most brutal boot episodes I've ever seen across any Survivor. And not in the sense that Stephanie is making mistakes or Stephanie is doing things wrong, but she just kind of really gets beat up out the door, literally and physically.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, it's a very oof episode for the Sokka tribe, which contains a lot of people we like, but it's just like every weird story beat happens here, and it's just not great.
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable. I think I texted Paul. I was just like, I feel uncomfortable. Like, I knew
exactly where you were when watching the episode. You didn't even need to explain. I was like, yep. It's awkward. It's awkward in the moment. It's awkward enough when they're vertical, and then at one point they're on the ground, and I'm just like,
there's just there was no reason for that, and there was still like a few rounds left.
It was like, so early.
It's not even.
Are you really worried Stephanie is gonna beast mode cowboy the rest of this challenge?
I know.
Like,
I mean, and props. Comfortable. Let's give props to Stephanie. Like, she hung in there.
Yes.
She eliminated him as well.
Yes.
So that was fine. And then I was at least glad to see, like, in her next interview about it, that she didn't, like, it didn't seem to faze her that much, which was good. But there's no need to.
It fazed me.
Oh, it fazed me too. I was just like, yeah. But I'm glad.
But I do have to say, it set up another one of my favorite moments of this episode. I'm trying to get through it. After that whole wrestling, Obsidian has to go, and George just says, "Can we promise we won't do that?" And then I just wrote down, George is my comfort character this season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here because it's just his delivery of the line is sitcom-esque.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was just like,
can we not do
yes, George?
That. And then at one point someone just says, there's a lot of testosterone here. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But we also, I will say, as much as we've been dogging Sokka, my very favorite still frame of this episode that I actually really just want to make the background of my computer and my lock screen is Ian and Luke standing side by side. It's the funniest visual I've ever seen in my life. It's a perfect moment because you can't tell, is Luke that tall is Ian that tiny? Is this like a forced
Right.
perspective picture where one person stands really close to the camera and Ian is like 30 feet back?
Right, right.
It's just, and then at one point Ian does like a jump into like a flying X, like a cheerleader jump for no reason. It's just so out of character for him that I'm just howling. It's
Oh my gosh.
unbelievably good.
Yeah. I was waiting
I
for Luke to like put his arm like on Ian's
I
head or shoulder
I
or
think he would have
something.
had to lean down to do the because you know you have the Arnold Schwarzenegger Danny DeVito in Twins where
Right,
Arnold
right.
Schwarzenegger. I think this is different than that. I think Luke is like 9 feet tall. Because I don't.
So Ian's
I,
actually like 6'1", and Luke is just extremely tall.
Because I don't remember Ian being that small. Like I feel like we have not. We had that conversation a little bit last week, but it was also in relation to Luke. But like I don't. Is
I
Ian
don't
a super small being? Like
should we play a game and try to guess his height?
I don't know, because maybe is Ian one of those people who's like, don't talk about my height?
Oh, that
I
could
mean,
be.
we've done 2 podcast episodes on it now, so
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Okay, we
I
can
don't know.
not do that.
I don't want to guess his height just in
Yeah,
case it's a sensitive topic.
that's true.
But he's
Sorry,
not
Ian.
he's not that small.
No.
No. I'm not sorry because he's not that small.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
just
yeah.
small, and also he's adorable. So there's like
Oh, right.
also that like he's not like, and plus this is short king season. It's
Oh, for sure.
2023.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Ian is, if anything, he is either a small bean or a short king, and we'll leave that up to the viewers to decide.
Perfect.
Comment below.
Yes,
Small bean
there you
or
go.
short king. Anyhow, acapella versus dinosaur, the classic matchup.
That was perfect.
Also, but shout out to Brady. Brady is in his bag.
Okay.
I feel like this being Brady's like first new player season or whatever. He's coming off of All-Stars, which was such a tough gig.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I feel like Brady is like this is like a more confident, more realized Brady. He's better at tribal councils. He's better at challenges. Like I
will
want to
agree
give
with
Brady
that.
his props. Like I'm really liking Brady this season. He's more quippy too, which I like.
Yeah.
Like, he's a little bit more like,
I have
and
noticed that.
acapella versus dinosaur is the winner.
Right. Okay, yeah. I can jump on board that.
Yes. And then there's also one point where when we get this Justin versus T-Rex, where T-Rex is like booking it back with the ball. And there's a member of production I couldn't identify that is also just lightning bolt across the field. Super fast. And I was thinking it might have been AJ.
Were they like recording or just?
No, it was whoever was filming. Like whatever tribe member was filming and running at full stop. And I wanted to say it was AJ, but I wasn't sure it was them. So I'm also throwing that one up the flagpole because I wanted to give them the credits because they were running as fast as T-Rex did, but also while filming and keeping a steady cam. And I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, we need
even though the shot didn't get used, which would totally suck.
Yeah,
if you're working that hard for a shot and then it doesn't make the edit, you're like, great, fantastic.
We need the intern to let us know who that was.
Yes. And also nothing ever illuminates the difference between these two tribes than when Luke versus T-Rex goes on this ball and they just start and Luke just shoves T-Rex to the ground. And I'm just like, these Obsidian people have never this is like when the posh private school has to go play like the farm boys from up north. Like it's like they're like, we play lovely, the beautiful sport of basketball and 3-point shots or whatever, and they have to go play against like, I was going to use an actual like thumb team in Michigan, and I was like, that's not going to mean anything to 99% of these people, except for the one person who went to Bad Axe High School who's going to get pissed at me. So I'm not even going to bother with it. But at any rate, and I'm just going to reiterate again, Anne goes the other, because we're going to lose Anne here, which I was more than kind of
so
sucks.
Bummed.
Because I love her and I feel like she was only getting better.
Yeah.
Especially, she just goes, the other tribe kind of sucks. And I know I did that line reading already, and I wanted to give it again because it was so funny and such a brilliant depiction of the difference between these two groups of people, where these Obsidian people are like, I don't think they're looking forward to the swap just because I think they're like, I'm scared of these soccer people.
Yeah.
I said, Taylor, you are iconic. one point Taylor is talking about being one of these iconic groups. I'm like, Taylor, you're already there.
Yeah, she is.
Much like Lone Star in the year 2001, honey, you are already there. And then just in all caps, I wrote rhythm, tap ensemble. I love this. And I love, more than this, I love that these people are going to this event.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is the kind of stuff, and I know we've talked about this before, but like, this is the kind of stuff that I would have loved if College Survivor was around when we were in college. Like, because you get the game part of it, but then you get these like real life moments, and you get these things where it brings you together, and you can party with these people, and you're like going to people's events and like supporting them. It's like, I don't know, that stuff I just really like to see. So that was a really cool moment. And Justin,
I totally agree.
Justin brings his buff to represent.
And again, it goes back to like this cool kids club of like, you know, Katie's and like rhythm tap ensemble. So obviously like Jack and George and Lindsay are going to be there. And Justin's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to wear my buff. And then Mason's like, well, if Justin's going to be there, I'm going to be there. And Taylor's like, well, if it's going to be iconic, I'm going to be there. Right. And so that's how we end up with this whole group, which is so funny.
Yeah.
At one point, I'm trying to remember if it's George. I think it's George that says that Justin is leadershipy. And I think he I can't tell what he really means by that. Like, even in context, I'm kind of struggling to be like, what is leadershipy? I don't know if he means like he's a type A or he's like giving camp counselor energy, like I frequently identify myself as, but like I don't know what leadershipy is supposed to mean, but it's very fun.
I feel like I kind of get what he's saying. I feel like Justin probably gives off that vibe of like being like, especially in the early days of Survivor when they had to like pick a leader, he would be the first person to be like, oh, it's definitely me, or like assume that he's that role already.
Okay.
That's kind of how I read into it. Like, if for some strange reason they had to pick a leader of the tribe, like Justin would already assume that he was the leader. That's what I took.
Good insight, Joe. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's good. Asked and answered. Lovely. We're going to get a little more of Justin here. Well, first of all, we get the reappearance of the Yoshi wall, which very exciting, which also now features a plush Yoshi, I think, also with it.
Oh, is that added? Exciting. Oh,
I think it's getting better.
Nice.
But then we get this conversation. I just want to give you my final note on this is I need to know everything about Justin right now. Because we get this whole thing where Justin wants to meet up with Lindsay.
Yes.
And the direct quote is, Justin wants to go someplace fun. And immediately George, my comfort character, is immediately like, what? And everybody else here is like, what? And she's like, yeah, like the trampoline park. And I'm like... Because at first there's this implication, like, is Justin trying to date Lindsay? Is kind of the subtext.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know that I get that vibe as much as I think Justin just takes meetings at the trampoline park. Like, I think if you had to work on a project, like if you were assigned like into a group in class, Justin would be like, so should we meet someplace fun, like the trampoline park?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, okay, sure. And then later, I'm sorry, I'm like actually crying tears here.
That's hilarious.
And then later on the vibe of something fun, they end up doing this High School Musical TikTok. And Justin is really good. And Lindsay is not.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's definitely been practicing this like on his own.
This is he taught her this dance.
Oh, like, 100%.
He knew this going. He did not have to learn this. They did not have to watch and practice this. Justin was like, let me teach you how to do this. And he does it. So, and like, honestly, with being an acapella, like in all of this, like, is it giving Troy Bolton? Kind of.
Yeah.
So good for you. Or at least it's giving like Joshua Bassett in High School Musical, the series. Like, it might not be actual like Zac Efron as Troy Bolton, but it might be like Joshua Bassett as Ricky Bowen in High School Musical, the series. So it's kind of like one step off.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm loving Justin.
He's a great
Justin
character.
Is emerging as this great character. I love this.
Yeah.
So the next we get this Quesadilla 5.
Yep, that's the only note I wrote down for the entire episode.
Did you write down who was in the Quesadilla 5? Because I did not. I just wrote Quesadilla 5 because I was excited about the name.
No, but I think I can picture it. I think it's Taylor, George, Katie, Lindsay, and Jack.
That's what I was thinking it was too.
Yeah.
Because it's the car 4 from the premiere, and now Taylor is
correct. Yes. Which I love. I love this 5.
I love an alliance with a name.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's just good praxis to have a name. It makes it real.
Yep.
It's great. We also get, and this is only going to mean something to like a small portion of the viewers, but I just wrote down Justin at Pinball Pete, R.I.P. Because there's this place in Ann Arbor called Pinball Pete's where Justin was. I'm pretty sure that's where Justin was filming his confessional at. That's no longer going to be open. So I was sad.
That with all the paint on the wall and stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I'm pretty sure that was Pinball Pete's. Somebody can correct me in the comments if it wasn't. And I also believe I read they're closing Pinball Pete's, which is sad.
Oh wow.
I just wrote down not Ross people again in reference to Justin and Mason. It's so funny because, like, you know, the University of Michigan is a very prestigious university, Joe. I don't know if you've heard this. And I'm sure their business school is very prestigious as well. I mean, they turn out a lot of people. But if your only introduction to Survivor Michigan, or if your only introduction to the University of Michigan was Survivor Michigan, you would think that anyone who went to the Ross Business School was a monster. Sometimes when they bring up it's become this is season 6 now, and it's become shorthand on the show that all you have to say is oh, they're Ross people. And we as Survivor Michigan viewers know what that means. We know what it means to be a Ross person. And it's why? Why do we know this? Why do we have this?
Funny.
Yeah. So sorry to all the wonderful graduates of the Ross School of Business. I'm not that sorry because they're all millionaires now and doing very well from all their connections. I wrote down here that Taylor is smart. She has this moment where she's talking about Justin doesn't want to vote for Mason. And so he's throwing out Ellie and Lindsay. And he's trying to protect Mason, which means that he's closer to Mason than I think. Yeah. And then she's talking about Anne, and she's talking about how Anne is throwing out Mason because she wants to do the girls thing, and all of this, and she's really processing it in the way that you would hope a Survivor player would process it. I'm really, really high on Taylor. Me too. Taylor is right where she needs to be going into a swap.
Agreed.
So we get this all girls thing for a moment, and we have this all girls FaceTime, and then somebody, and I don't know, I think it might be Anne, says it's worked in the past, and my note is when.
I was waiting for her to reference something, and it's also funny that we brought up Derek and Cody's Big Brother season, because wasn't that the season that Joey tried to put an all-girls alliance together, and she was booted for that very reason? So
when does this ever work?
Yeah.
Unless she had just recently watched Survivor One World and was that was her favorite season of Survivor.
Yeah. Or
that's really kind of the only example people keep running back to.
Yeah. Or fans versus favorites.
Yeah, fans versus favorites, but that's that is a women's alliance, and it's the best women's alliance in probably reality TV history. But it's also sort of it's a women's alliance that happens in a very specific way that I think where many of the women, and not to let's dig into Survivor Micronesia now. I think there are several women in the women's alliance who don't want it to be a women's alliance. It just happens to turn out that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And it didn't start from the very beginning of the season either.
All that to say, I love women's alliances.
Same.
I would love them to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when we switch over to Sokka, the first thing we see is Thagus, where he goes, going into this challenge, my strategy was to lay low.
That's laying low?
My brother, you did the opposite of lay low. Whatever the dictionary opposite of lay, you stood high. You did the opposite of lay low. My man, you wrestled a lady to the ground. Whatever laying low is, you did not achieve it.
Yeah.
You did not accomplish laying low, my man. I was high-ish on Thagus last week. That has waned.
Yeah.
I still think Thagus is a good dude, and I think he's in a good position. It's just going to be hard for me to get past that imagery. And especially the, like, it's not just the imagery of it, because you get, like, in the moment, you and I have both played challenges in weekend games and in live games where we have both gotten too intense. I think that is very fair to say.
Yeah.
You less than me. I'll own it. I am who I am.
I was going to use your word from before, when, for myself, but sure, I'm sure I've gotten intense
you're like
in
a
a challenge.
very, like, you're not like an aggressive dude, but like you're all in when you're doing challenges.
That's
like
fair.
you're
Yeah,
like running as hard as you can. You're going as hard as you can.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think you. I mean,
have I ever tackled someone?
I've had more
think
outbursts than you have. I'll say it that way.
Okay, there we go.
If we're counting outbursts, I probably win that. But so I get that, but I think my problem is like the very tone deaf reaction They just has to this, where he's like trying to like high five people, and even after it's over, he's trying to be like, "Yeah, we did it," and it's kind of like, you didn't.
No,
I'm sorry. So, Noah tells Grace about this clue. They go idol hunting together. Noah finds the idol.
Love it.
Noah.
Yeah.
There is no ceiling for this man, it
seems.
Every episode he keeps getting better.
And I love the him and Grace duo.
This is
like if Noah and Ian are Jerry and George, Noah and Grace are Jerry and Elaine.
I'm kind of fine with that.
Does that work?
Yeah, because it's kind of like it's like a platonic team kind of thing. Where they have this like very cool platonic friend energy that just really seems to work. And I love it. I want to get a little more out of Grace. I like Grace, and she's in an incredible spot. I want a little bit more character stuff from Grace. And I think sometimes with these first time players, it takes a while for them to warm up in confession. Like some of them, it doesn't take much time at all.
Right.
Justin. So, but I think maybe Grace is one of those people that needs a little bit more time to warm up in confessional, but I really like her. And I like the spot she's in. I'm very team Grace right now.
Yeah, me too.
But I mean, Noah is just, I said last week that he's one of these people that's just built for this game. And every episode, like you just watch him and you're just like, geez, this guy is cooking. Now, granted, it's early. It's the pre-merge. We're going into a swap where he's not going to be in the numbers. He could be in trouble.
Right.
I don't think so. I don't get the vibe at all that he will be in trouble. It's possible, but I am excited to see him play in a different position.
Yeah, and he has an idol in his pocket. So if he gets into a bad spot, boom.
I just want to point out: was Luke bamboozled? Was there skullduggery or was there jonesing? Let's dig into this, Joe. So we have the 3 tiers, apparently, of deception, which is bamboozled, skullduggery, and jonesing. Yeah. I'm not sure how jonesing gets in there, because that's not how I understand that word.
I think that was used not in the correct way, but I think Ian was just like, we're just going to roll with this, and I'm not going to correct her.
Yes.
Which I love. I love that that's become
too.
A new...
Also, I would like to point out that in our group chat, which we have previously referenced, I used the word subterfuge, and I got roasted for it in the group chat. And now we get bamboozled, skullduggery. No,
you've explained it probably 3 times. I still don't know what subterfuge is. I thought it was like a piece of machinery.
I'm not going through this.
I'll scroll back through the text.
Not for you or for anyone. And I also wrote this note that I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, because it's a compliment that doesn't really sound like a compliment, but I mean it as a compliment.
Okay.
And so Noah is having this conversation with Emily, and I'm just like, I don't understand how Noah has this much Riz. Like, are you familiar with Riz, what the kids are talking about?
I have just learned about this recently, yes.
I feel like if you look at Noah on paper, he doesn't feel like it. He doesn't immediately read Riz. Like, you're not immediately like, this guy is just charming people to death. And yet, every time he's in a conversation with these people, it's just Riz. He's just oozing charm. And I'm kind of like, this is not your stereotypical charmer. And yet, it's really, really working for him. he is almost kind of like a, and I can't believe I'm saying this 3 episodes in, so brace yourself.
Oh,
It's
here we go.
almost like a better Mitch.
Wow.
It's almost like he's doing kind of what Mitch was trying to do early on in season 1, just kind of like talk to everybody and be cool and be friends, but it's really working for him in a way that it did end up working out for Mitch, kind of,
Yeah.
but only after he kind of leaned back into the strategic side of it. Whereas I think Noah just has this ease about him that is really cool. Like, I think he might be cool, but I also like, and again, I mean this in a nice way. How is he this cool? He's a Quidditch player. Like he's
Quidditch is cool
guy.
though, right?
Is Quidditch cool? Maybe I'm wrong. And
I mean,
granted, I am old and I have never been the arbiter of cool in anyone's life. But like, maybe Quidditch is cool.
Yeah, I remember. I think it actually. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like it was actually a thing when I was in college.
Okay.
Because I remember hearing about it being like, what? But yeah, we could also attribute it to who he's dating.
This is clearly Bailey's influence here.
It's got to be, right?
This is Coach Bailey from the sidelines,
yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure. Always happy to give her credit, as much credit as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Noah is he's just killing it. Just doing so good.
For sure.
I love Noah's principal's office, where all these people have to come see Noah in the principal's office, and Luke and Stephanie have to just come and like with their tails between their legs or whatever. And poor Stephanie, who is going to get voted out anyway, even after all this. Oh my gosh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Luke, I will say, gives it right back to Ian at Tribal Council.
That
and
was
he's like,
so funny.
He's like, how those stubby little legs freaking out. And I died.
Yeah.
I fully died. I really genuinely, I want these two to get back on the same page. I want these two to be like the most like I just wrote down in my notes. I just said, why can't these two work it out?
Yeah. Is Luke Kramer?
I feel like Luke might be Kramer. Or maybe Luke is like Newman. Like if these guys are like Jerry and George, like no, I think Stephanie has to be Newman in this episode because there's just this hatred that seems to exist here for no reason. Hype Man Ian is so funny when she pulls this thing out, and Ian's like, "Wait a second, hold on, step back, bro." And I'm like,
I was like, let the poor girl have a minute. She's been tackled. She's on the bottom. She's about to get voted out. Let her be for a second. That's what I was saying.
It's just this tribe mascot thing that I love this strategy where like if you're the guy on the outs, suddenly you are like, no guys, we got to stick together. You are that guy. And Ian is killing this role. He's so good because he's like, first of all, poor Stephanie. I want to put that on the table.
Yeah.
It's very brutal out. This is one of I will have to say this is like one of the very few moments where I'm just very like yikes out the door.
That's exactly how I felt.
Bad for her.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is good strategy on Ian, as harsh as it is, and as not great as it may read on camera in the moment. Yeah. This is what he should be doing. He should be leaning into this group of people, especially as Abby's gone, Stephanie's gone, Luke's way on the outs. Like, this is what he should be doing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of yikes. And
so wait, was the advantage fake?
We never get clarity. I think Stephanie was trying to play the gambit that I have an advantage that will be useful next week. So you need to keep me in the game so I can, because the whole point that Ian's trying to make is like, well, you can't use it tonight anyhow, which wasn't what she was trying to say.
Right, because he didn't let her finish. He didn't let her finish.
But then at some point she just kind of gives up, and which I think really leads me to believe that this is probably like just fake. Which
fake by her though, like she made it.
I think so.
Okay.
And which, if that's the case, good on her.
Yeah,
good on her for trying something out the door. I love that.
I wish she would have used it earlier in the episode though, and been like, "Listen, I have this advantage. Like, keep me in one more week. We can like we're obviously going to be swapping, but I am glad, like you said before, just try stuff. So I am glad that she did that. It was just a very I was uncomfortable.
I was
I
uncomfortable.
really felt for her. I hope whatever she's doing now, she's doing amazing things. But that was just.
I did
Oof.
right. I mean, I wrote down this is one of the most brutal brute episodes ever across any franchise, where somebody really just kind of gets beat up and then sent
Yeah,
home.
literally.
So if we're doing a captain season next season, let's get Stephanie in on this.
Yes.
Like, let's do Jay and Abby and Stephanie.
Yes.
Let's get her involved in this, because I would like to see that.
Yeah.
So then we move on to this Obsidian Tribal Council, and my first note is, let's just go inside. We don't need to do this. No one is watching for the lovely Michigan winter urban scenery.
No. I mean, the steps are nostalgic, but we want the safety of the players to be above anything else. So let them be inside for a couple minutes.
Let's just go inside. I also wrote down, I would not have guessed this would be the all-time Survivor Michigan party tribe looking at these 9 people sitting on these steps. You don't have that picture hanging up on your wall and go, this is going to be the party team of all the party teams. Look at, there you go. Look at George, Katie, Justin, Mason. Man, everywhere you go, party animals. You just cannot turn around without one of these people just trying to throw a rager.
Oh my gosh.
And then, in all caps, tell Megan I said hi. It's another blindside.
Wow.
I hate this.
I know.
I love the blindside.
Yeah.
And I love the move. It's a great move for all of these people who do it. I just hate it that it was Anne, because I loved her and she's good. We have to stop doing this thing in Survivor where if a guy is strategic, he's too intimidating to vote out. But if a girl is strategic, we have to vote her out right away. We have to stop doing this.
Yes.
And I'm not accusing these players of doing this, especially, this was years ago.
Right,
I'm not saying this is blah, blah, blah or whatever. But I just don't like this trend of it being everybody is saying George and Katie are running this tribe and Jack is really scary. And everybody on Sokka is Ian and Noah are running things and whatever. And so who do we, it's last week, Luke, he's big, he's strong, he's whatever. Let's vote out Abby.
Yeah.
Wait, what? And now this week is oh man, Ian and Noah are running everything. Let's vote out Stephanie. And then we go to Obsidian and it's man, George and Katie are the king and queen of this tribe and Jack is really scary. Let's vote out Anne.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Guys.
I know.
I'm happy. I do have to say I'm happy it wasn't Mason. I was worried it was gonna be Mason because
his name was out there a lot.
Mason is a sleeper pick for me this year. I like Mason. I think he's good. I think he needs to get into a better scenario. And so I was Mason, if Mason makes a swap, I think let's watch for Mason next week making moves. I like him. He's a sleeper pick. But I'm really sad it was Anne. I was really hoping it was going to be T-Rex. I hate to say this, but you got to come to stuff, man.
I know.
You got to be in the mix. You got to be in the loop. Because even Emily was in the mix this week. She's here. She's involved. Both Lindsays are in the mix this week.
Yeah.
Everybody is here except for... And Ellie is kind of involved in this bonus thing a little bit. So even Ellie is playing. So I was kind of glad she didn't get the boot either. As much as, again, I would have...
She was left out of the vote, though, which was kind of interesting.
Which is bad. But it's also okay, come on, Ellie, come on. And again, we get another from, and this is to go back to soccer, we get another Emily this week. I'm really going to start playing this time, guys. I'm good for you. I like Sokka Emily. I do.
Yeah.
I think Sokka Emily is fun, and I'm on record as saying that. And I feel like Sokka Emily is needs to link up with Obsidian Lindsay. And I'm let's let this be the new power duo.
Yeah.
I want those girls to meet up, and if they can find a time to do it and meet up, I'm I want them to do that. And then we're on to next week, and it's a swap. And here we go.
I'm very excited. I think it's coming at a good time. I think it's really going to test some of these players, especially the ones kind of in the middle or on the bottom. Can they form new relationships? Can they, what are they going to do? How is Ian and Noah going to mess it all up? Because they're going to somehow be involved in both tribes in some way, shape, or form. So I'm really excited.
I'm praying. This is my next episode prayer.
Okay.
Can we get Ian and Katie on the same tribe?
Ooh.
I need Lindsay and Emily, and I need Ian and Katie.
Ian and Katie.
And then just whatever Noah does, we'll love.
Right.
Just link Noah up with any or all of these people, and let's let him go to town. I love this guy.
Yeah.
All right. So, without any further ado.
Oh gosh, we have work to do.
Power rankings, guys. It's in the name. We are legally, morally, ethically bound to do some power ranking of something every episode. It's early on, so we're going to stick to power ranking the top 3 from each tribe. Going into a swap. Actually, I don't have mine formally written down yet. I know who mine are, but I don't have mine formally written down yet. So let me do that real quick.
Okay. Do we want to start with Obsidian?
We can. My only problem is my number 1 and number 2.
Interesting.
I don't know which way to go with this. I wrote them down in a specific order that I'm going to stick with, but I'm not married to it.
Okay.
So Obsidian number 1. Who do you have?
I kind of want to change mine. Can I change it?
Yeah, you have not said anything yet, so you're not locked into anything until you say it out loud here on the pod, and it comes across the closed captioning on the bottom of the screen that is only right about 75% of the time. It makes me say really crazy things sometimes.
I will say I did just write 3 names, so I didn't necessarily rank them. But anyway, I'm putting Taylor.
You're going to put Taylor at number 1. Fantastic. Yeah. I love this for her. Taylor is at number 3 on my list.
Okay.
But it's a very tight 3, and I think she's great. Talk to me about Taylor.
Honestly, I felt like it was difficult for me to even choose. And I think that's why I initially didn't even rank them, because I was just kind of like, I think the way I do it sometimes is like, I watch the episode, I wait a little bit. If somebody comes to mind, I'll like throw them down early. But sometimes I like to kind of like marinate on the episode a little bit. And then I kind of think back and kind of go with like who I feel like I either saw a lot of good things from, who might be in a good spot or something. So I feel like Taylor, I put at number 1. We talked about it before. Like, she's in a really good spot. She's viewing the game in a really strategic way. She has this like cross-tribal thing with Noah. I don't know. I didn't want to I feel like I gave the like producer players number 1 spots last time. So I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit and give it to some new people, which might change on the other side. But anyway, I just love Taylor. She's iconic. I think she's in a great spot. And I feel like even with the swap coming up, like I'm not, knock on wood, like worried about her.
Yeah. I feel the same. Taylor's in a great spot. And she's a combination of somebody who's in a great spot and I feel like is playing well, which I always love to see when someone is clearly in a good spot on the tribe, but then also she's thinking the right thoughts. She's doing the right things. She's in the mix. She's in the Quesadilla 5. Like, she's worked her way into this core group of people that is clearly interested in working together long term. And now she's a part of it, but she's also got all of these other connections, all of these spider webs that go all out. I really, really love Taylor. I only put her in 3 because I did Mom and Dad at the top this week.
Okay.
So I have George in my number 1 spot.
Gotcha. Okay, I had him in number 3.
So,
and I wrote Flu George because he had the flu.
Flu George, much like Michael Jordan, even with the flu, the man cannot miss. I feel like George is just getting better. Like, I feel like he has this thing with Jack that I think is really solid. Like, even though Jack knows about the George and Katie thing. Oh, also when George says like, we're basically dating, I was like, you sir are just a delight. And Jack knows about this and he doesn't care. Like, he still is like, I'm in with George. Like, George and I share something, and I feel like he's just good. I feel like he's in that really good spot. I feel like the Sokka people are pretty well determined that they're not going to vote out these producers early. So I'm not worried about George in a swap situation.
Yeah.
I think he continues to sail. I think he just continues to get better. And party dad George is going to get some new recruits to whatever this frat is that he's running, and he and Jack are like co-presidents of.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna get a new rush next week, and I think that's just what it's going to be. Is everybody's just rushing George, Jack, and Katie Tao or whatever it is. So I'm excited. Okay, who is your number 2?
I put Jack.
Okay, see, I dropped Jack out of the list this week. I have Katie in number 2.
That's fair. I think Katie deserves to be in the top 3.
So let's talk about Jack first, though.
Yeah, I just really liked his confessional. I think he had the episode title too, like the Russian doll metaphor. I don't know. I just like the way that he was approaching the game and like laying out the different layers of the alliances and like. So I don't know. That stuck out in my mind. Like I know we sang his praises in the last podcast. We didn't get like a ton from him this episode, but that was just something that I really remembered after watching it. So I threw him on the list for that reason. I feel like we kind of said it last time, like he's doing the correct thing with the information that he has. Like he's leaning into working with Katie and George instead of trying to like get the troops against them. Yeah. I think that's going to help. I think they're going to be really good like shields for him. And I really hope that he's set up well enough to manage the swap, whichever tribe he ends up on. So that's kind of why I went that way.
I like Jack. I had to drop him out of my list this week just because we didn't get a ton from him outside of this stuff with George. And I also, my fear for Jack is I think Jack is somebody, I feel like Jack and Noah like are of similar types, but I feel like Noah is this really laid back, unassuming version of this, where Jack is almost more from the Jackson school of like, he is really enjoying this and he's kind of really feeling his oats a little bit. And I feel like in a swap that may not pay as good of dividends for him. I worry about him. He's the one person in a swap that I worry if he somehow ends up on the wrong side of a numbers or something happens where Sokka people will go, we got to get this guy out.
That's fair. Yeah.
And then in my number 2, I had Katie.
Love it.
Just because I think Katie is great. We didn't get a ton of Katie this week, but I wanted to put her high because I love the idea that if Katie is doing rhythm tap ensemble, all of these damn people are going to be in the audience watching her stomp it out.
Yeah.
Like that they like are like, Katie is such an important person to this tribe that like we are not missing this. Like we are all going to, and yes, it's personal. They clearly like Katie as a person or you wouldn't do this, but it's also gameplay of they know they need to be in good with Katie. They know they need to pull Katie into this girls thing if they're going to do a girls thing. They know, like, I feel like in a din, and again, going into a swap, you have this thing with Katie and Noah, Katie and Ian. She is the hub of these producers, people. She is the glue holding all of this together. And so I feel like no matter how this swap turns out, she's always going to have people.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
I think that's always a really, really great. I think that's the spot you want to be in a swap is where every version of the swap you have somebody.
Right. I agree. Love it.
So let's move on to Sokka.
Okay.
My number 1 on Sokka, I have Noah.
Same.
Come on. Come on, man.
We haven't talked about him enough. So
on, what else is there to say? He has his own principal's office this week. He finds an idol. He's got Grace. He's got Ian.
Yeah, what more can you say?
Well, I mean, Noah's great. We love watching him play. Yeah, there's not really much more you can say. We really, truly have become the Bailey's boyfriend ranking guys.
We really have.
It's going to take some muscle to dethrone this guy, I think, both in the game and in the power rankings game.
Yeah, someone will have to wrestle us to the ground and try to
yes,
change the name of our podcast.
He's going to have to, yes. And so who do you have in your number 2?
So even though we didn't get to see a lot from her, I put Grace.
I put Grace in my number 2 as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think she's playing the game well. I think she's set up with some good alliances. I think, that Grace is 5 or whatever from the beginning. And I think she's obviously, like I said before, like I love the her and Noah duo. I think that's a really good duo. So yeah, I really like where she's at in the game. And and again, I know, like I say this a lot about a lot of people, like when we come up with the swap, but like I'm really interested to see how she handles the swap. Like, does she make new relationships? Like, if she's swapped away from Noah, I think that would be interesting. I mean, obviously in College Survivor, you can still meet up with other people, but I think I would like to almost kind of see her kind of on her own a little bit and see like what new relationships she can form. I would love to see like a her and Taylor thing. I think that would be interesting with like the Noah bridge there.
Icons only. Yes.
Yeah. So I really like her, and I hope we get to see more from her, especially next week. So yeah, she was number 2.
I think the thing is, this Sokka tribe has been so crazy and so chaotic that we've seen almost everybody's name come up at one point except for Grace.
Yeah,
I think Thages is probably the only other name that hasn't come up to get voted out, because we've seen votes for Noah, votes for Ian, Luke, Stephanie, Emily, Lindsay,
Ellie.
Nothing. No, Ellie's on the.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Sorry,
Ellie. But we can say that. But nobody has ever talked about Grace.
Right.
She is not on anybody's radar to vote out.
Yeah.
But she is clearly in good with these people. She has this original Grace and the Boys thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's got this thing with this group that voted together last week.
Yeah.
She's in with Noah, and Noah is in with her. Like, he is very serious about this. So you look at it and you just go, if nobody is saying your name, but you are in the center of every conversation and the power, it's a really, really good place to be. It was probably the finding the idol thing that's what put Noah into the one over this.
Yeah.
But man, Grace is in a great spot, and she's playing her spot really well.
Yeah.
So again, on the same page as the Taylor thing, of it's like, those two are definitely, I would love to see them link up.
Yeah.
So in my number 3 spot, I did put Ian this week in the number 3 spot.
And I put the villain in number 3 as well. So we got it on the nose.
It's a good bounce back from last week for Ian.
Yeah.
He's doing good things. He's doing, like I said, this tribe mascot thing. He's doing really well. I think Ian is somebody who would do well in a swap. Because I think a lot of what happened in these first couple episodes had a lot to do with this Abby, Stephanie, and Luke thing that obviously no longer exists. And I think Ian now, like, they're like, Ian producer gate is over. Everyone knows he's a producer.
Right.
Like, and I think in that way, the whole crash and burn thing of that is actually going to end up being good for Ian in the long run. Because the fact that now it's out, it's over, nobody really cares anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about, like, pulling at the threads, like, oh, like, we have, like, Ian was a producer. It's the kind of the first domino to fall. Because it was very easy. It was already 85% of the way over. It barely fell.
Right.
But then you have Katie and George, Noah and Taylor. You know, do these people know about Noah and Babe? Like, what is the status of their knowledge of that? Like, all of, like, I feel like everybody's figured out Ian's thing. So like, nobody else is really interested in it, because like everybody knows, like, oh, it's Ian. Like, he was a producer. He did a very poor job of hiding it, whatever. And then that way, I feel like he's now off people's radar. Like, nobody cares anymore.
Right. Well, it's enough weeks into the game now. Like, other people have emerged as threats and targets and stuff. And yeah, he's insulated himself pretty well with Sokka. And I feel like in a swap, like, any of the Sokka members that he ends up with, I think, continue to work with him. And then
I agree.
If he ends up with a George, a Katie, maybe some of these other people, I feel like he'll just continue working his Valian magic and like continue to and
I feel like he has it even with Luke. I feel like he has this weird, like, enemies to friends arc going with like, are they like Roy Kent and Jamie Tart maybe? Like, is that what they're like, where they're like, Ian is kind of like this grumpy Roy Kent where like he kind of doesn't like anybody and he's kind of like older and he's over it, and Luke is kind of like this bouncy, like, can't stand still, like, whatever. Like, is there like Roy and Jamie upside maybe to this relationship? I hope.
I could see that.
I just need these two. I'm sure they are friends in real life. I need them to become friends in this game. I need
Yeah.
them to work together just to complete this arc for me. But I agree. I think Ian is good. I think Ian is somebody who he's a good meat shield if you want to do that. I think he's somebody that's just. I think he's good, and I think he's only gonna get better. Because the thing about Ian is, he's like, he is good. Like, he's good to hang out with. He's fun. He's funny. He's like, he has his own kind of weird charm Riz thing going on, like where he's kind of like, he kind of can turn on this charm as well. And I think that people are going to be impressed by, I think the Obsidian newbies, when they like meet and sit down with Ian for the first time, are going to be impressed by how much they like him. And I think there's an Ian likability factor that hasn't been explored this season that I think is going to play really well for him in a swap. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nice. Yeah.
I knew I would circle around to my point. Kind of like right around the landing strip.
Right.
So
that's funny.
3 episodes in, feeling
crazy
great about this season.
Yeah, it's been
feeling great about this cast. Really good. I feel really good about this cast. Like, I really like so many of these people, even the people who haven't gotten a ton of airtime. I feel like there's like 2 or 3 people who we still don't really know anything about. But besides that, I mean, at this point, if you're like, I've got over a dozen people that I have strong reads on and strong opinions on this early in a season, you're cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are cooking.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We're going into a swap. What else is there to say? I can't wait to be back here with you again next week, seeing what kind of craziness happens and hoping that no more smart women get voted out.
Yeah, let's stop that trend.
No smart women voted out in episode 4.
No.
That's my trend. Trend alert. No smart women getting voted out.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yes. You said you had something you wanted to say at the end of the episode.
Yes, I have a little surprise.
Yes.
So do me a favor. Can you move to your right in the frame? I know
this is very random. My right in the frame, like this way?
Yeah, a little bit more. Okay, good. I'm gonna move over. Sorry, this is a red.
I genuinely have no idea. This is I don't know what we're doing right now.
I practiced this before Paul got on, so I think this is gonna work because I want to make sure I see your face. But I have a little bit of a message for you. Okay. So if people don't know, Paul's birthday is actually tomorrow. So I have a little surprise for him, and he has no idea what this is. So I want to get his live reaction. I don't know if it's going to start right away.
Talked about this. I didn't know you knew.
Yeah, he had no idea.
I did not know you knew this.
Let me see if this works.
Oh my god, I'm nervous.
Hey Paul, happy birthday! It was so great meeting you this year. I'm so glad that we got to do my exit interview together. So fun to talk to you. I always love hearing your takes on Survivor Michigan, and fingers crossed that one day soon we'll be able to get into the live games together.
Yeah. Hey, Paul. Happy birthday. Looking forward to hearing your takes on season 6, and hope we cross paths sometime in the future.
Cool. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
I am dead. I am rarely caught speechless in my life. I have nothing to say. This is an all-timer, Joe.
Oh,
this is an all-time birthday gift. Truly. I do turn 34 tomorrow, and I'm thrilled about it. I am one of those people who has begun enjoying birthdays again because I love being here. This is really shocking and amazing. Thank you to Bailey and Noah, first of all.
Yes, and for people that are just listening to this, that was Bailey and Noah giving Paul a birthday shout out. I cannot take full credit for it, so I'll tell you a quick story of how we got to this. But and it's funny because we were talking about this in the beginning, I think before we even started the podcast. But so Paul's bestie Brienne reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about maybe getting Paul like a Survivor cameo. Do you know any of his favorite players?" And even though Paul and I have been friends for years, I really didn't know any. So I was kind of thinking, I was like, maybe I could like randomly ask him, but I'm like, that might not be organic. And I was like, well, wait a second. What if I get him some Survivor Michigan players to do like a little cameo thing for it? So the idea led from her. So I wanted to make sure I give her credit.
I will be thanking her after this.
Okay,
but there's no CBS player I would want to see just that. Like I want to be very clear that I'm not doing a bit. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
There's no one you could have gotten from CBS that would have made my night like that.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because before we started the podcast, we started talking about like previous players. So it was funny because you mentioned a couple that were your favorites, and I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. But I was like, I think he's gonna like this way better. So yeah, thank you so much to Bailey and Noah.
This is it. This is it. Nothing could ever usher me going into a new year of my life better. And for those of you who don't know, like we're recording this on Wednesday night, so like it's 11:38 p.m. the night before my birthday. So this is like
the timing was
first
perfect.
Official birthday greeting. This is how I am beginning my 34th year of being a human. Is being congratulated by, I mean, two of my favorite players ever. I think we can comfortably say that. We're only 3 episodes into one of them, but I think we can comfortably say these two. I mean, we know Bailey, but
yeah,
I'm thrilled. Good, I did not see that coming.
Little blind side for you.
This is truly the tell Megan I said hi moment of the season so far. Thank you, Joe. First of all, that's really kind and wonderful. Thank you.
Please. It was, all thanks to Bailey and Noah. That was great.
And huge thanks to Bailey and Noah. This is, I'm entering my Bailey and Noah year. That's how I'm.
It's the Bailey and Noah era.
It's the Bailey and Noah era. I am in my Bailey and Noah era now. So I guess we're signing off, right? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no other surprises happening. This is the end of the podcast.
Because I am at max capacity tonight. That's amazing. You guys, thank you so much for staying with us and for listening. We will see you next week here on the Power Rankings, guys. I'm Paul. I've been here with Joe. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. We are out.
See you next week.